Okay.
They had made the first round, or pop, and they had said, okay, that's enough. Let's go.
Who said that? Whose voice is that?
Number one.
Okay.
How does she
I heard
know?
one more after that, and they're like, that's enough. Let's go.
Okay. And again, that's number one.
Yes.
So what do you hear next after you hear the scrambling? They're gone. Because you're hearing no more. I gather that's how you assume they're gone, is because you don't hear them. Then you hear your dad.
I reached for my phone at
Okay.
that point.
And you call 911. Okay.
Whatever you need.
When your father exits, you hear the door open.
If you've got
Because
the
you
raw
hear your dad,
material.
and then
And
you.
then
Of
I
course.
can hear like the outside noises,
Okay.
like the wind coming
Aye.
in, and I just hear my dad. I think he.
Jesus.
You think that he's sustained some kind of injury because he's not. You can't understand what he's saying. Okay. What about? Do you? Can you hear your mom? Okay.
How?
Where does your dad go? Do you know where? You never see your dad again until when we're at the hospital. I think that's what you said, right?
I saw him when he was on the gurney.
Is there any reason to suspect, or anything that's happened in the recent weeks leading up, that would have you guys be a target of some type of incident like this?
We live a straightforward, kind of almost routine life.
Whenever Jennifer
I've got your
smiles,
back.
it takes her a couple seconds to
I'll
realize
show you
she's
what I
not
know.
exhibiting the correct behavior, and she then snaps back into her solemn stare. The two looks are so diametrically opposed to each other that it becomes glaringly obvious she's forcing one of the emotions.
What do you want me to carry?
What, in your opinion,
I'll show
would
you what I
cause
know.
people to target your house to think there was a large quantity of
I'll
money?
head back home if you need me.
I'm not
Divine
sure.
smile, lead the way.
Now, you say your mom drives a Lexus.
I'm right behind you.
It could be because of the aesthetics.
What do you want me to
yes.
carry?
What about your dad?
He drives a Mercedes and he loves that
Lead
baby.
on.
Is that right?
The questions end here, and the detective leaves the room for half an hour to
What?
double-check if he needs any more information. After 15 minutes of Jennifer waiting alone, we're gifted with another performance of the startle reflex. Only this time,
You found
it's
it.
slightly less convincing.
I'm gonna put this back where it belongs. I'll never forget this. You've done a great thing for me and my sister.
If investigators were
Thank you
certain of
so
Jennifer's
much for taking
innocence,
care
this
of
would
those
have been the
thieves.
first and last
The
time she
Riverwood
would have been
Trader is
questioned
back
in
to the
such a
way it
manner.
used to be.
Police are extremely careful in how they involve victims in investigations as to not cause further unnecessary trauma. But on this particular occasion, it would come as no surprise that Jennifer's psychological well-being was of less concern. She was officially still a victim and witness, but unofficially a leading suspect. She was called back in to give another statement just 2 days later at 9 a.m. She was told the reason was to collect more details, but you'll notice that the line of questioning and the answers they attain have little to no use for anything outside of Jennifer's culpability. The actual reason for this second statement is to collect further information to use against her at a later stage. In this interview alone,
her.
they already start the process of cross-examination and start to catch her out in previous lies. Jennifer is
here
still
we
a witness at
go.
this moment, and the exchange is void of any direct confrontation. Yet she is still put under a modest amount of pressure, and the holes in her story start to become ever more apparent.
Take that first interview that we had, which was, hours after what had transpired, put it aside. It's almost like we've never spoken before, okay? So we're starting fresh. We're starting from new. That way you're not going to say, I think I already told him that. Don't worry about what you've already told him.
Do you, Jennifer Penn, swear or declare that the evidence that you give in this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
We're going to see if we've learned or if you've remembered anything else. And there's some questions with respect to that statement that I'm going to ask you about. Okay, but I'm going to let you start again, and let's move forward from any time in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up, or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and I
Why are you nervous?
Why are you
Tell me about why
nervous?
you're nervous.
because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
So
That day was a lot,
you're right.
and I've been scattered, and some bits and pieces are here, and some pieces aren't here, and I'm just.
So I want you to sit back in your chair. Okay, just sit back in your chair. Take a deep breath. Okay, close your eyes. Just follow my line. Just sit back in the chair for a second. Sit back,
You handle
relax,
yourself well.
as the best you can.
An outsider.
Close
eh?
your eyes.
An order of war. And we show up to solve problems.
And just breathe
Not
for
for
me.
me to say. The old man.
Okay.
She doesn't look very relaxed.
Good luck.
Okay, gotta
The
get my
most
story
curious
straight.
detail you've probably come to notice is this. It's known as a self-pacifying gesture. A person who does this is most often uncomfortable and sometimes fearful of what lies ahead. It's a coping mechanism to dissipate stress and afford self-assurance.
What I can remember is when I woke up, had some breakfast.
She practices on the piano, studies piano history, plays games on her phone, and speaks with her friends on Facebook during the morning hours. Her mom leaves to visit her grandfather at around noon and returns at 3 p.m. to prepare dinner. Her father comes home at around 4:30 from work, and dinner is served 1 hour later. Her mother leaves for
Got
line
the
dancing at
fleetest
7,
seats in
then
all of
returns at
Skyrim.
9:30.
Suppose
Jennifer
so.
at this point is in
Got-
bed talking
you've
with her
got the
friend on
deal.
the phone, and her
It's the
father
one
is in
with
the
the
computer
of
room.
course.
She then hears her mother loudly call out to her father.
What is she saying?
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim. What do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi, someday.
She's clearly aware that she has to appear mournful over the subject matter and sensibly draws out this emotion at the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires further, this supposed grief rapidly dissipates. It's extremely difficult to convincingly act out an emotion while evaluating a question. It requires two completely different parts of the brain, which is why most people can only do one of these things at a time. This is exactly what you see in the next moment, and continuously throughout this interview.
What does that translate to?
Can't multitask.
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Does she say anything else associated with that? With that?
I can't hear clearly because like I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling, or is it normal?
It's a loud. She's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
She then hangs up the phone with her friend once she hears the commotion.
As I'm hanging up the phone with him, I hear footsteps going up the stairs,
Okay.
but they're not. They're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected.
Plus
from
one, minus one. Plus
Okay.
one,
Jennifer
minus one.
hears unfamiliar voices, so she opens her door to investigate. She has spoken for 2 minutes up to this point without being interrupted, and once again manages to build up
Yeah,
her
like you
emotion to
needs a
correlate
war
with a
horse, I
supposedly terrifying event. Yet as soon as
Of
the
course.
detective interjects with a question, we once again see this emotion dissipate.
I peered out, and there was
Good day.
a person in what would have been my brother's room.
And where's your brother's room located?
Just a little bit down the, like I could see from my doorway to his doorway, just
Okay.
a little bit down the hall.
Okay.
The first intruder then robs Jennifer at gunpoint before taking her to the ground floor, where she then sees her parents sitting next to each other.
From where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right, and my mother was sitting on the left,
Sitting where?
on a couch, on our couch.
Sitting on the couch. Are they looking out towards you?
No, their backs are towards me.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor? Or on the
I'm
sitting on the
the
stairs?
floor. I'm sitting on the floor.
All right, where are your hands?
They had tied my hands,
So let's
as
go.
I said.
Let's go back up to the stairs. Remember we said
Her emotional display in seeing her parents in distress gradually faded after each interjection, but you'll now see it completely cease altogether once she realizes that she made her first mistake. Everything she had said up to this point correlated with her initial statement, but she had just forgot to mention that she was first tied up before being taken downstairs, and only brought it up when reminded by the detective.
take the other statement and whatever we've said before.
No, I said it earlier.
She didn't say she was tied up earlier. She completely forgot to mention it and seems to be trying to convince the detective otherwise. It's a moment of slight panic, which becomes far more pronounced when you compare it to her supposed grief-stricken recollection 5 seconds earlier. The detective doesn't...
Wait, this is what I hear. My cam's covering it. Fake sorrow, genuine
I'm a bard by
panic.
trade. Carlotta put you up to this, didn't she?
Dude, they can read these people
Bribing me?
like books.
Well, bard does need to eat.
Challenge
My
this,
ancestors'
as it
honor?
can be used against her at a much later stage, and the main objective at this point is to collect as much conflicting information as possible.
Okay, then we must
Once I've
let's
made
get
enough
back to
money
that area. I think you might have touched on
before
it. We
my
went
mom,
back into the
I met
description.
one of
So
the
where
caravanners.
do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
If you find one, I could
I'm
teach
not
you a
sure
thing
where
or
the
two
string
about
comes
trading.
from. But he had the string.
Bargain and
Okay.
This and a bit of that.
And he, after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
She is then taken downstairs where she sees her mother being interrogated by the second assailant over the whereabouts of the cash. According to her first statement, the second assailant never said a word the entire time.
He had pushed her back onto the couch, and she
Who
kept
pushed her?
number 2. He was pushing her back onto the couch.
No, you fucked
And
up.
she kept saying, "Where's my purse? Where's my purse?" And the guy kept telling her to sit down, and I didn't want my mom to get hurt.
Thanks for the business.
How many times does she get up and get pushed back down?
I'd say she got up twice.
Has number 2 uttered a word at this point in time?
I can't remember hearing him.
Okay. So we're just correcting what you
There's a
said
lot of
earlier, because you
steel.
said earlier that it was
Skyforge-
number 2 who was
Skyforge
asking where the
steel is
purse
all the
is and where the
companions
purse
will
is,
use.
and now you've said now
Gods
it's
be
number
praised.
1 guy who would
I'm
initially.
sorry, it's just...
No. It's all a purpose. The purpose here is clarifying what you're saying. So number
I
one
just
is
don't wanna...
number 1 is the one who's doing the talking about the purse. Number 3 is focused on your dad's wallet. Okay.
Jennifer continues to make contradictions and is forced to correct herself multiple times after she notices the puzzled gaze from the detective. He inquires over the appearance of assailant number 2, who is wearing a hoodie according to the first statement.
You get a good look at number 2 now of what he's wearing?
All I could tell was he had a vest, and his face was like a long oval face.
He had a vest?
No, hoodie.
Okay.
Dark hoodie.
Okay. Did you see them recover anything inside your mom and dad's room?
Oh, shit. I did not see anything, no.
Are you sure? Because when we spoke the last time, there was some mention of some other money that went missing.
I believe when they were looking for my father's wallet, they had opened the drawer. And there was, it was in an envelope.
What drawer would that have been in?
If you're at the door where I was standing on the left side, the bedside table.
Whose side of the bed is it?
That's my mother's side.
Okay.
More than likely a total coincidence, yet she almost appears to be praying that she gave the correct response. Fortunately for her, she was correct on this occasion.
Gods be praised.
And approximately how much money?
I'm not sure how much she took out for our trip, but I can only estimate about a few $100s.
A few hundred, because at the time, the last time
Or
you told me, you were pretty adamant about
$1,100.
You left this
$1,100.
over
So
there.
I'm curious
You
to
want it
know
back,
how you came
right?
up with that number.
Here.
I believe because when we were at the border, we stopped at the duty-free. My mother was deciding whether to use her U.S. currency or her U.S. currency or her Canadian currency.
So it was at that time you remember hearing $1,100, and that's what is that the inference you're saying? Is that because you're pretty solid saying that it was $1,100 that went missing, that was taken, and that you saw it when you spoke. And who took it? Who took possession of the money?
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
The detective lets the contradiction slide once more. Jennifer is then brought to the moment where the intruders had just left and she is tied to the upstairs banister.
Let's come back to now. You're being taken to the banister in the upper. Don't apologize, okay? I'm going to try and ask you questions to try and clarify points.
But I
Okay,
still
if you don't
hear
remember,
the
you don't
strange
remember.
Would you?
Okay, so
Yes,
there's no
perhaps. A
apologizing. The
certain
only reason you would
strength of
apologize to me is if you've lied to me.
Master.
Okay, so then in this case, then don't apologize to me. It's okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions to clarify points.
We had some empty beds.
you're now bound to this, to the
Oh
railing.
God, here we
Can
go.
you show me, can you stand up and turn around and tell me, just show on the camera, how your hands are
I've
bound
never even heard of this outsider.
and how you are against the
Sometimes
railing. You
the
don't have to
famous
sit
come
down. I
to
just need to
us.
see how you work.
She's so afraid of making a mistake.
The only reason that I'm trying to, I need to do this is that I'm also going to ask you.
So
is that
afraid.
So take this back to, take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical
Of course.
position, because I want to see
may be so.
how you could physically get your phone out of
He
your
will
waistband.
test your
Me
arm.
Obviously gonna need to
too.
know that.
Take
It's
her out
very
to the
important.
yard
So
and see what she can do.
traumatize a way. Now put yourself into just a state of,
I'm right
I
back.
need to
You go on ahead.
mechanically show how I can get access to my phone. Okay, because that's obviously very relevant. We know you made the phone call, but questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? Okay.
Yeah.
So clinically, this is now a clinical demonstration. Just stand up, focus in on how you did it.
I would be such an asshole, detective. I
I want you
think.
to stick
Oh
that
my
in your
God.
waistband as an example. Okay, so take your just take your sweat off. 'Cause this is
I would have no
very
patience with
simple,
these
very
people.
quick thing. It's a one-time demonstration. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
The two critical parts of this demonstration are where Jennifer states she was tied, and the movement of her arms as she takes her phone out of her pocket. The investigator is hoping the mechanics of the two components would be illogical and contradict each other.
They tied my upper arm
Yes,
around the banister,
yes.
but my hands are bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister? Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call?
What brings you here? I'm
Whether
guessing
it be
you're
a
the
stroke of
newcomer.
luck or that
That
Jennifer had
attitude
prepared for this
around
moment.
here, you'll
Oh,
want to
okay,
learn to
I'm gonna
live your own
show
life.
it because
have
I
a
was
favor
blocking
to
it.
ask.
One-time
My
demonstration. I'm not
wife
going to
is
ask you to
mourning,
repeat
and I
it.
need-
Takes her phone out of her pocket. The investigator is hoping the mechanics of the two
She actually did a good
components would
job
be
here.
illogical and
I'm actually
contradict each other.
impressed.
They tied my upper arm
Yes,
around the banister,
yes.
but my hands are bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister? Okay, so now
Yes.
how can you get to the phone?
Need something.
And how do you make the phone
When
call?
the Empire surrendered to the All-Merry Dominion, they shaved
Whether
us
it be
all.
a stroke of luck or that Jennifer had prepared for this moment, this actually made sense.
Yeah, it
Had
did.
her arms gone left or the point of restraint been below the elbow, none of this would have been possible. It's perhaps
I wonder
the
if
single
she
moment
just
where Jennifer's
winged
statement
it.
was somewhat
heading out?
beneficial to
Let's
her
get going.
defense. We know Jennifer was tied up when police arrived, but the assumption
hear
was
you
that
have
she had her
spirit.
phone in her
This is
hands the
good.
entire time
may yet
and wouldn't
join.
have had to retrieve it from her waistband.
Keep up the
She can now argue that this portion
Eyes
of her
on the horizon.
testimony is genuine.
911. And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like
They
this.
should be
And
so
how can you
lucky.
hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So
He's
that's
from Orham's-
exactly the way that you're talking to her against the
good.
railing.
I've been waiting for this. Good to see
Haven't
you
seen
made
her.
it.
That's good.
You know this
Sit down.
one?
Jennifer
I saw
is
her
then
training
brought
in
back
Wow.
to the moment
Vilnius.
just before she heard the gunshots.
At this point, I started hearing my parents get up. And they're moving.
I
Oh
will
my
be
God.
yelling.
Catch you
Back
safe.
Where's
off.
my daughter? I want my daughter.
Do you think
Where's
you
my
can handle
daughter?
Vilgus in a real fight? Ha!
I'm
A
yelling,
woman who
Mom,
lets
I'm
her
here.
actions speak. Here, let's have Farkas show you where you'll be resting.
Jennifer.
I think she's sad out of pure guilt.
Just
Wait, do you
Take
think
a
she's
minute.
guilty? Like feels guilty for
You'll
what she
notice
did?
that she doesn't wipe her eyes or blow her nose, just buries her
Of
face in the
course we
tissue,
did,
which
Ice
the detective
Brain.
later testified
Show
remained
this
completely
new blood
dry.
where the rest of them
Oh.
sleep.
okay.
Oh,
So we're now down in the basement. They're down in the. You know your parents are down in the basement.
I heard pop. And then my mom
-1.
heard her squeal.
Multiple pops occur thereafter before she hears the intruders leave through the front door.
Once the door closed, I heard my father.
Nice to have a new face around.
Yeah, upstairs. All I could hear was moaning.
I hope we keep you. This can be a rough
Yeah.
life. The
Once I heard him
here.
start
Just
to move,
pick a bed and
that's
fall
when I
in it.
pulled out the phone and I was trying to call
Tell
911.
me we'll keep the place clean.
This is untrue.
always
She only
has.
realized her father was alive
Alright, so
midway
here you
through the
are.
911
Looks like the
call.
others are
And in that exact
Oh.
moment, you can
Come to
actually
me
hear
here, AL,
genuine
if you're
fear in
looking
her
for
voice compared to her
Once you made a
fabricated
bit of a
panic the
name for
moment
yourself,
before.
Obscure and Vilgus.
Need something? Something?
Good luck. Welcome to the companions.
Where are you?
By the way, we've gotten a letter about someone. I don't know what the fuck. I just need you to know more than that. I don't want to hear. Try not to get carried away.
The final part of this
Oh,
statement
it's so
is
hard to
collecting
listen to.
information to set up the main strategy for Jennifer's interrogation that will take place 10 days later. They go through Jennifer's past and gather intel to lay the foundation for what's known as the how and why solution, which will be explained in further detail at a later stage.
What I want to do now is I want to go into your past, okay? And start talking about things that have been going on with you.
The detective now morphs into a therapist, and what's fascinating is how Jennifer doesn't once question the new line of inquisition. Many argue that it was the first time Jennifer was even asked about such matters, giving reason for her willingness to open up. This may have been the first time in her life she was able to process her frustrations and vent to someone who appeared to care. The first topic is her parents, and the expectations and pressures she was under to succeed, which led to her faking her grades and then her college degree as to not be a disappointment.
How did you feel about that? How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
Did you have any resentment towards them for this?
I chose what I chose, but in the end I chose my family.
She just referred to the ultimatum she was given by her father. The choice to live at home and go back to school, or be completely cut off by her parents and live with her boyfriend. Information gathering on Jennifer's past goes on for roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. The detective then ends the exchange by putting her under some pressure. It's not a direct confrontation, but it's by far the most uncomfortable position she's been in up to this point. The detective subtly switches back to the home invasion and how the intruders were able to gain access without breaking in.
You didn't hear a doorbell. You didn't hear a door knock. You didn't hear a door kicked in. You didn't
I
hear.
said I was watching TV on the phone. I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. We went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down there.
She was the only one down there.
So it's very confusing. Generally, random events are not, in most cases, random. There's a rhyme or reason why they've come to your house. But from what you've told me inside the house, the only thing that you hear them saying to you is they're looking for money.
You know,
they're
if
not
you've
looking
got
for a
the
specific quantity of money?
No.
So you're telling me that you had no involvement in what happened, meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money.
College in winter.
You're not involved in this any which way. Because the question obviously stands, Jennifer, is you're upstairs and they're downstairs, right? So it's a natural concern why would they leave you alone? Why would they not do the same to you?
Yeah, why did they let her live, huh? Make sense of that!
You can't answer that question?
Answer it!
The only thing I can say is he said I cooperated. But I asked him
Not good
to take
enough.
me.
The number one guy said you cooperated. Okay, who's to say this whole thing isn't a lie? That what you're telling me is a lie? Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I have ever faced in my life.
Get her out of my
Nothing that
sight!
you've said to me today is a lie.
Say it out loud, bitch! She can't even say
That's
it!
a very difficult
Okay,
question.
okay, calm
But
down.
if I don't ask it, I'm gonna be. It's an obvious one. The resentment that you may have had towards your parents for the interference in your relationship and your life, and essentially locking you down in your house.
At the end of the day, I love my parents and I chose to be with them. And if I wanted to, I could have just left, but I didn't. I wanted to stay with them and take care of them.
You chose to get them murdered.
So this wasn't some evil plot that you thought up to...
Oh my god, no.
Disgusting.
No interaction, no belief, no, you didn't have anything to do with this thing at all, whatsoever. You don't engage in illegal activity?
No.
Here, take this as
Because you know that it'll be very easily, it will be a very easy thing to discredit you, right? We're in the process of trying to add credibility to what you tell us, and that's through the process of asking people and doing whatever. Through that same process, it will be very easy to find the flaws in what you said.
I would never.
Which again,
We found a lot,
honestly.
Now, what did you say?
Okay?
I don't...
It's a natural progress. It's a natural thing that investigators do. We eliminate people, or we draw our attention to them. It's a natural thing. It's not brain surgery. Okay?
The detective leaves the room for 20 minutes to allow Jennifer to stew in her own thoughts before they end the statement. He comes back to add one last bit of psychological pressure that he carefully disguises as reassurance.
Pressure her.
Jennifer will leave terrified, but still believe the police are on her side.
Okay,
Wait, really?
We're done, essentially. How you feeling?
Sorry, you really scared me.
Did I? What'd I scare you about? Sit down and take a load off. Tell me how you're feeling. And how I scared you. I don't want you walking away from here thinking I'm evil. I want you to walking around from here thinking that this guy is helping investigate my mom's murder and he's going to turn over every stone possible to make sure that
every stone.
That's what I want you feeling. So I don't want you walking away from here thinking that I scared you or I'm a bad man. Sometimes we have to ask very, very difficult questions, but it's my job. Okay? You're our only link. You're it. Until your dad regains his back and being able to be spoken to, right now you're our only link to this case.
Her father had bullet fragments lodged in his face that doctors couldn't remove, and a shattered notebook. At the time of this interview, the consensus was that if he did regain consciousness, he would be useless as a witness due to irreversible brain damage.
Oh my god.
We may rely on you heavily until we speak to your dad.
Wait, he lived?
Okay?
Attacking the watchtower.
So don't be afraid.
No.
If you told the truth,
Ooh.
the last thing you should be afraid of is anything. If you told the truth and you've been truthful through this whole process, then you're helping.
Good work, son.
You're doing your part.
We'll take it from here.
Okay?
Down to the barracks
And don't be afraid of me.
Rest.
I'm just afraid because, you know,
you better gather some
like,
guards.
I know everything is just all pointing negatively right now, and I don't understand why.
Good.
I feel that, like, the way you're speaking to me is kind of like...
You're a bad liar.
I know you said that you had to say those things, but it's...
I want you to go with
it's here,
Irelef
and
help her fight this dragon.
I've already said it to
Helgen,
the
so
special
you
victims
have more
yesterday, but
experience with
there's, like,
dragons than anyone else
ideas in my
here.
head,
Yeah.
But I haven't
and
forgotten
I'm afraid to say it out loud.
as a token of my esteem.
But
Ideas
And
about
please,
speculation of what
accept
happened,
this gift
how
from
it
my
happened.
personal arm.
Unfortunately, at times some of us like to seem like we're pointing the finger, and it really is just to provoke you to see what you're going to do, how you're going to respond. Okay? So, it's only a question, and it's been answered, and if you've been truthful, okay, you have nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, why are you so scared, huh?
Police kept Jennifer under close observation from this point forward. A surveillance detail was assigned to track her every movement, and she was even monitored at her mother's funeral 3 days later. According to reports, she was emotionless the majority of the time, only showing what appeared to be feigned grief at certain moments. She never shed a single tear, and kept her eyes to the floor or completely shut for the entirety of the service. Jennifer's father had in fact awoken from his induced coma the day prior, and miraculously seemed to remember everything from the night of the incident. He would give an official statement in secret on November 16th, and multiple parts of his story contradicted what Jennifer had told police. The most significant detail was that she was never tied up, but instead walking around freely and talking with the intruders as if they were friends. He actually spoke with Jennifer over the phone, but was informed by investigators to act amnesic and not to confront her, only to ask her if she thought her ex-boyfriend was behind it. She stated that she was almost certain he wasn't. The only issue with Han's statement was that he had suffered minor brain damage from the gunshot, which could be used by a defense team to refute his testimony in court, or even get it thrown out altogether. Furthermore, it was essentially his word against Jennifer's, and their turbulent relationship would also work greatly in the defense's favor. York Regional Police knew they needed a confession for the best possible chance at securing a conviction, so they assigned their most experienced investigator to conduct Jennifer's interrogation. She was called back into the Markham police station on the 22nd of November at 2:30 p.m., a week and a half after the incident took place.
So just for the record, it is the 22nd of November 2010. We're at the 5 district station in the town of Markham. My computer right now says 2:39 in the afternoon.
And remembered.
Just for the record, my name is Detective Henry Gates.
Hi, William.
And what do you like to say? What do you prefer? Jen or Jen? Either. So Jen, you're aware that the audio is on. It's the same as last time. Okay, you've been here on 2 other occasions, I understand. On the 9th of November, and I believe again on the 11th of November. Is that correct? Okay. And do you know why we're here today? Yeah, regarding what?
Your crime. Your crime!
And as a result of that home invasion, your father, Sam was actually shot, and your mother, Van, was actually killed. Is that correct? No, you'll have to speak up a little bit. Okay.
What's unique about this interrogator is how he immediately adopts a no-nonsense approach, yet manages to build rapport and remain sympathetic at the same time.
Yeah.
He has far less patience compared to the previous investigator, yet seems to create a stronger connection with the suspect. It's a hard thing to explain, but easily observed, as you'll soon find out.
So that's what we're going to discuss here today.
Jennifer this time around has read her rights to silence rather than her rights as a witness. If she knew anything about the law in Canada, she would be wise to the fact that she is now a suspect. Fortunately for the investigator, she remains completely naive to the situation throughout the opening phase of the interrogation, making her far more susceptible to the strategy he is about to employ.
Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, we're having technical difficulties here. Okay, so that's why I'm interrupting you. What we're going to do is, if you don't mind holding tight there, I'm just going to move my equipment to the other room. Okay, and then I'll come over and we'll move over there next door, okay?
I can't believe it.
Okay, I'm going to be right here, though.
That's what you did.
Okay?
With respect to interrogations, it's common knowledge that the psychological manipulation begins before a single word is spoken. The physical layout of the room is designed to accelerate the sense of discomfort and isolation, and it's fascinating to observe how each interrogator has their own unique methods of setting the tone. Knowing how this interrogation plays out allows us to realize this detective's procedure. The considerable distance between him and the suspect will keep her relaxed enough to be influenced by Phase 1. But this same distance will intensify the pressure once he eventually closes it during Phase 2. You'll notice this detective is slow with his first strategy, but swift with the second. He takes his time in building trust and establishing rapport. Yet once this initial connection is secured, the transition to aggression will be abrupt and ever increasing from that point forward.
Oh, let's
Jennifer
go!
takes a seat in the room 15 minutes since she was first informed of her rights. It's important to note that she is still free to leave at any time at this point. She is unknowingly a suspect, but not under arrest.
Why don't people leave when they're...
So just for the record, this room is being videotaped and audio taped, just like the other one, okay? And I'm just going to grab my chair from across there, okay? Okay.
The detective goes through Jennifer's history of teaching piano and her earlier years of high-level figure skating, which was cut short due to injury.
If you didn't get injured, would you still be doing it? Yeah. That's nice. And did you, as far as that, did you do,
So what happened at the watchtower? There's no question, but there must be more to it than that. So it's true. Masters of the dragon.
Yeah.
You,
but you did actually
the
enjoy it.
summons.
More than just going for competitions, enjoying actually.
I had fun.
Okay.
That was
All
the
right.
voice of the Greybeards,
Do you have any students right
summoning
now?
you to High Rothgar. This
Yeah,
has
why not?
you've done. I assign you. I'll also. We are honored.
Oh, okay. Yeah, too big for piano. Yeah, I took it in grade school too, but I think I went to grade 7 anyway.
Accused in pain of our
When I was in
city.
grade 7, I stopped taking it. But,
Rungar, calm
I still
yourself.
remember swans
What
on
does
the
any of
lake.
this Nord nonsense have to do
Play
with
that,
our
that's
friend
good.
here?
The
Come to
detective then
Dragon's
goes through
Reach to
Jennifer's
discuss the
work
ongoing
history as a
hostilities,
server
like
before
the
touching
rest
on
of
her
the great
future plans in
warriors.
education. Jennifer mentions that she plans to go by her parents' wishes and pursue a career in healthcare, at which point the primary strategy is initiated, the how and why solution. The detective gradually begins to shift the blame away from the suspect and onto another set of circumstances that prompted the suspect to commit the crime. He starts developing a theme that will afford her a psychological justification in doing it, and this theme will be further established as the interrogation progresses. It starts off subtle so that she remains oblivious to the agenda.
Now, if you could pick any job
The
yourself,
Jarl has appointed me to be your house. Looks like
not
you've
talking
already
about
got someone
anybody else,
with
but
you.
if you could pick for yourself, what would it be?
No matter. Go to High Hrothgar. Learn what the Greybeards.
I've got your back. I'll show you what I know.
This is an answer the detective was
I'll show
hoping
you
for.
what I know.
Jennifer's preferred career choice is at odds with what her parents wanted, so he now builds on the concept of the overly controlling parent and the unfair limitations it causes the child.
show you
He
what
then
I know.
links this concept with the subject of Jennifer's boyfriend and how she was kept from seeing him.
Now, eventually you were discussing in January. What's happened with that relationship?
I did it for my parents at first. They didn't see me having a boyfriend.
Okay.
You lead, I'll follow.
Once they found out, they didn't like the fact that he was.
I've got your back.
Okay.
I'll head back home if you need me.
Okay.
And you didn't like that, did you?
Honored to see you.
How did it make you
Lead the
feel,
way.
Jennifer? Just what, Jennifer?
He was the person who was filled in the void.
Oh, he filled a void in you, huh? So very important, huh?
When you broke up, you felt the part was missing, is that what you're saying?
When they first told me to talk to me and stopped talking to me, I felt like a part of me.
How did they find out?
One day when I'm she dropped me
Divine smile on you, friend.
Okay. Dropped you off.
at Pacific Mall, and my mother was coming to me.
Riverwood's
Okay.
agreeable enough, I
And somehow
suppose.
they saw each other, I guess?
Oh, my mother saw me. I didn't take me.
Okay. That gave it away.
There's
What happened
beauty
next?
here, unmatched in all of Skyrim, to be sure.
I tried to bring him home. And my mother was at the
By Izmir, you did it.
bring him home.
You killed the dragon.
And then I brought him
Maybe
home.
you've already met Camilla Valerius.
They didn't, they automatically didn't
There's been talk amongst the gods.
Okay.
You are
nothing
Dragon.
really didn't talk to me.
but such a
If
thing.
only
So you
Camilla
were
showed me
that's
told
not possible.
to stop seeing him. So what happened then?
At first, I thought they lied.
So big.
But
That dragon's not swoop down at any time.
Are you a hunter by chance? The hills surrounding the village are ripe with game.
Jennifer then goes on to explain in further detail how she carried on the
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Listen,
I work at the lumber
chat.
mill. I
We're
escape into the forest whenever possible.
psychoanalyzing a murderer that killed her parents, and it's kind of weird that you guys are spamming that I'm pretty. I feel like it's a little, not the place and the time to be
I don't
talking
like to
about
brag, but
my
once took
appearance.
down a bear at
But I
300
understand. I
yards.
understand the intention, but it's a little weird timing, isn't it? It's kind of weird.
Because you
It's kind of weird. So yeah, maybe we could, I don't know,
What do you need?
focus more on the this. I don't know.
Riverwood's agreeable
Okay.
enough, I
the
suppose.
relationship in secret and how it became more and more of a struggle
I
hiding.
appreciate it, but what the fuck?
Now, how is Daniel taking
There's
it
beauty here,
when
unmatched in all of
parents said
Skyrim,
that
to be sure.
couldn't see him anymore? How did he take it?
Maybe you've already met Camilla Valerius.
And how did you feel?
Yeah.
She then goes on
You
to
wanted
explain
revenge.
that she was living with Daniel at
Only
his
Camilla
parents' house
shared
for
my
2 years,
affections.
while her own parents thought she was studying at a university.
And his parents were, I guess, more liberal than your parents.
Are you a hunter by chance? The hills surrounding the village are ripe with game.
Yeah. And they recognized that you loved each other.
Jennifer recounts how she bought a fake diploma for $500 to show her parents, and the many other avenues she went down to keep the lie going. She eventually gets to the day she was found out.
How did you end up at
service?
I hope she realizes this is building a case against her.
I got my friend.
Yes.
Middle of the night. And she
I don't like to brag, but I once took down a bear at 300 yards in a blizzard.
Okay. She messed up.
I don't blame her.
No.
Jennifer then goes on to explain the ultimatum she was given and the restrictive measures that were put in place so that she wouldn't be able to see her boyfriend.
So how is that being under those guidelines for the last 18 months?
There's beauty here, unmatched in all of
It
Skyrim, to
wasn't
be
the
sure.
best feeling in the world. And I was trapped. But it's what I chose.
Maybe you've already met Camilla Valerius.
And so you made a choice between what?
Living out on my own.
Yes.
Did you feel you really had a choice or not?
There was no choice. The family was
And where do you get that from?
If
Where do
only
you get
Camilla
that from?
shared my affections. Or even knew
The
about
family's number one.
Yes.
The detective then brings up Jennifer's earlier assertion of
hunter by
being
chance?
depressed,
The
and
hills
then
surrounding the
affiliates
village
it with
are
the
ripe with
restrictive
game.
measures she was living under.
What was the worst the depression died?
I work at the lumber mill,
Okay.
but I escape
And
into
when
the
did that
forest
happen?
whenever possible.
Where did you do? Where did
I
you
miss
cut?
Valenwood, but the wilds here are serviceable.
One served notes and I hide it other places. So never tried to comply.
So how many cuts?
I don't
did
like
you
to
cut?
brag, but
Now
I once took down a bear
Then?
at 300
You killed?
yards in a blizzard.
And did you want to kill yourself?
Jennifer asserts that she tried to kill herself when she was 19 by overdosing on sleeping tablets. She also states that her
Riverwood's agreeable
self-harm was a
enough, I suppose.
distractor from the pain and
For a
frustrations
village.
she was going through.
Did you ever feel that they expected too much of you?
There's beauty
Oh,
here,
so-
unmatched in all of Skyrim, to be sure.
Aww.
So who would they compare you to?
Maybe you've already met Camilla Valerius.
And so some of them have been successful recently?
Yeah, her foot's wildin'.
And what did they say to you?
Is that Morse code? With her foot?
That's pretty hard,
Need
right?
something?
Hard to take for you.
But I put on my life.
If only Camilla shared my affections.
Did you ever feel like,
Or even knew about
I know you're smart and they believe you're very smart, but did you ever
Girl,
feel you weren't smart
she
enough
built
that
a
they thought
case
you-
against her by
village,
admitting
right?
all of the
I get that
things.
feeling.
Like, there's clearly resentment and
Pretty
reasoning.
tough to live up to their expectations.
I work at the lumber mill.
Okay, like
Idiot.
I escape
your
into
dad
the forest
ultimately
whenever
would like
possible.
to see you be like a doctor. Those were pretty high standards.
Yeah. High
Everybody.
standards, huh?
Not everybody can be a doctor.
Nope, not everyone.
And but they may have acted like
Dog might be
you
nervous.
could have done it no problem. Their expectations were so high that few people will be able to reach that expectation. I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about anyone. And it started at a young age.
Oh,
The
God.
detective further
Score says
explores
that I
the
have the
stresses
strength
of
of
living
these
with
rewards,
overly
and
strict
my
parents,
brother
and
has
Jennifer
his
explains in
Yeah,
further
she's
detail
nervous 'cause
the way
she's a
she
criminal.
which for the most part was
She's
lying about
guilty.
her grades and living a double life with her boyfriend.
Good
How
work,
did it
sister.
feel having to lie to them
Skjor
all
was
those
looking
years?
for you earlier. Don't know. I don't like
Yeah, so you
making
didn't
him
want to
angry,
lie to them anymore,
but there
huh?
is
You took
support
them
for you
out.
if you want it.
They always look
Come
down.
to me with questions. I know our history almost as well as Vignar by now.
I'm sure there were days when you actually planned that this is the day I'm going to tell them, and then You just couldn't spit it out.
Except I can remember it.
The opening
Couldn't spit
strategy
it
of the
out.
how
I was the
and why
newest
solution
companion.
has
There you
now
go.
been executed. A connection
did.
has been attained,
Last
and the
week, a
desired
scholar
narrative
came.
established.
Seemed
The
a
next
fool to
phase of
me.
the interrogation is about
There's
to
a fine
commence,
line
which is
between
first set up by a
We've
two-step
just-
strategy.
Focus.
Step
He'll
1 is
answer
to
and
induce
try
fatigue.
not to
Step
disappoint.
2 is to induce
Or-
fear.
It's time.
When's the last time you spoke to your dad?
The latest recruit, right? Wait,
My brother
is that
had
right?
meetings.
And what have you and your father discussed about this case?
He just asked me if Daniel was behind it.
Okay.
And I told
When
him
you
I
get to be
don't know 100%,
like most,
so I don't
I
think
traveled.
he
I was just a boy. But
Why
I
would he
had the
ask
fire
that?
of a man in my heart.
did. He said
Eventually, I
he
fought God
believed
up
that
to my
we
spirit.
were talking and that he would go to anyone to use me.
Oh my
What do you think
god.
about that?
What do you think about that?
I know that he's moved on, so I think he could leave once he was me and he's moved on.
The detective has
They're
Jennifer
still
go through the entire incident once more, but unlike the first investigator, offers no reassurance nor consolation. Jennifer starts fake crying again, yet this time is given no tissues to wipe away
No
the non-existent
tissues!
tears.
Now, do you think there's any reason why they tied you up and didn't tie your parents up?
What? Why? Huh? Why? Huh? Why? Huh? Why? Huh? You know.
Does
You
that
know
seem
why.
odd to you? Why does it seem odd?
Because I was away up here separated from him at the time.
And does it make sense that they would leave a witness behind
That doesn't make sense.
if they were going to kill somebody? Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
I guess
No, just
No,
thinking
make it
about
make sense.
But it makes sense for somebody that is going to kill somebody to leave a witness behind that could describe them. Does that make common sense for killers?
not.
It doesn't. What do you mean you guess? It doesn't.
What do you think? Do you think that was a mistake they made then?
I don't know. They kept saying that they're running out of time, and it just.
It doesn't take a long time.
It doesn't
to
take
kill
time to kill you, does
I
it?
don't know.
Jennifer's
Oh my
dramatics
God.
intensify as the discussion of the home invasion continues. She's trying to give off the nonverbal cue that she wants to move past the incident. The
I
detective
hope
doesn't
you've read
respond,
it.
but continues
So
to
I'm
go
told.
over the different
Let's see
stages
if
of the
you
night in more
impress.
detail.
Oh,
He jumps from the beginning
we
to
go.
the end, to the
Don't
middle,
delay,
back to the
Shield
end,
Sister.
and then back to the beginning again. None of this is for the purpose of information
track
gathering.
star.
He is
Let's go.
inducing mental fatigue as to diminish Jennifer's critical thinking. This is often done before
They've
a
been in
direct
there for almost 2
confrontation,
hours.
as it can diminish the suspect's ability to consider the long-term consequences of a decision. Jennifer will get stressed and tired, not because she is
Rachel?
traumatized by the event being recited, but because
Listen.
it's exhausting keeping up such an act when it's not genuine. And this
I don't have
performance
the
eventually
patience
starts to dwindle and
or the
becomes
chillness
gradually less
for people that
convincing.
murdered
How
their
did the
parents.
conversation end with that?
I heard my mother calling for my father.
She's a liar.
And then what?
She's a terrible person.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing it. Okay.
Um,
Oh, okay.
When you
You
went to
chill,
bed,
like,
was your mom
no
home
more
yet?
yelling. Okay, I got
I
you.
got home and I went down. I put right up here at that, and I went down. I said bye to her, and I went back up to her.
Were you injured at all during the whole process?
Not-
Okay. Not really anything?
Step 2 of the confrontation setup will now commence. The detective employs
It's
what is
fear
known
time.
as the futility technique. He will tell Jennifer that he has an abundance of resources at his disposal, and even fabricate much of what he asserts. He's indirectly telling the suspect it is useless to resist due to the overwhelming evidence against her.
Now,
It's time.
the reason why I'm here today, okay, is that I'm an expert, okay,
He's really
in
good.
what we call truth verification. I talk to thousands of people, okay, and I
Very social.
basically know when somebody's not being straightforward. Okay? I can tell by the language they use, how they answer the question, their body language, how they treat the question, that something's wrong here. Okay, this doesn't make sense.
The detective then gives Jennifer an 8-minute narrative on police tactics and forensic technology, some of which is embellished, but for the most part true. He then asserts that police are able to use infrared satellite imagery to see the occupants inside a household. This is entirely false.
She was playing with her hair that whole time.
If people are moving around in a house, it's like an X-ray, okay? And basically we're able to tell, you know, are those movements, are those actions, that number of people consistent with the story that we've been told? Are the people in the positions that the witnesses are telling us they were in? Or are they different? Okay? And if they're different, why are they different? That's what our question becomes, right? And so at the end of the day, okay, there's so many resources available to me that at the end of the day, I'm going to know a person's telling me the truth or not.
The detective is now about to initiate the confrontation, but first brings the entire setup full circle by re-establishing the notions of reasoning and rationale. The suspect is fatigued and scared, but still needs to feel the detective is on her side.
Now, I can tell you that nothing surprises me.
We should keep moving. I'll show you what I can about protecting yourself.
Desensitized.
I am well aware that anybody on this earth is capable of making mistakes.
Skjor says,
okay?
I'll show you what I
don't
can
care
about
who they are.
protecting
I
yourself.
don't care if they're a priest. I don't care if they're a school teacher. I don't care what the situation is. Given a certain set of circumstances, everyone has the capability, Jennifer, of making mistakes. Doing the wrong
This
thing.
wasn't a mistake, though. It was planned.
The key, though, when I talk to people is when they made a mistake, okay, that's one thing, right? The key is to not keep making the same mistakes. And to get that information out and get it off your chest. Okay? You understand what I'm saying?
Looks like someone's been digging.
Get it off your chest.
At the end of the day, from this case, and I can tell you I spent literally a week on this case, going over information after information, accessing all the sources, speaking to every other expert on the case. And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police.
Ooh!
Okay? You
Oh my God.
everything that you know. Perfect. You spent
Closes
a
distance.
considerable amount of time in the last 7 years telling half-truths. And I can understand why.
Wait, he's taken 7 years to get this point?
What's happened to you equates to abuse. And all the stresses that you've had and forced to lie, I can understand why you did it. Okay?
This guy's
But you're in
good.
another situation here where you're under another tremendous amount of stress. And it doesn't feel good inside, does it? It breaks down the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're a good person. I know that. You've got a good heart. In this case, though, you've made mistakes.
I don't know about that
Okay?
one.
And you're involved in this. I know that. Okay? There's no question about it. The only question
But he's
right
telling
now
her what she needs to
is, are
hear.
you going to keep making mistakes? Are you going to go on the route that you've gone on over the years and try to pretend that things happen that never happened? Okay? Are you going to not face reality? We know that you're involved. We've done our homework.
Oh, 7 years living at home. Gotcha.
We have to resolve that now, here today.
Okay.
I need to know from you what really happened. And I know why this has happened.
Now look what you got yourself into.
You have spent
No
your
worries,
whole life
just sit tight.
trying to live
I'll
up
find
to
a release.
expectations that you can't
What
make,
was that?
okay? And that stress the hell out of you. You're a 24-year-old woman being treated like a 15-year-old,
Wow.
okay?
Which one is
Well,
that?
you've never done anything that terrible in your life, but you're
24.
being treated like you have.
Killing you.
Wow.
You're not being treated like the adult that you are. Yes, you
None
made
of
some
you will be
mistakes,
alive
big
to
deal.
tell it.
You're not the first person that has gone out and not told their parents that they're dating a guy, because in your culture they don't accept it. I understand it. I've talked to people in here that have kept that secret for their whole life from their parents. Okay, so that's not abnormal, but that puts a lot of stress on you, right?
Wow.
That's not easy for you, is it? No. Now, what we need to get down to here today, Jen, is what really happened.
Does she confess?
You
It's
need
a
to tell
blessing
me
given to some of us.
what went on.
We could be.
Does she actually confess?
Only the
Because you
circle have
know
the beast.
who was in that house that night.
We should keep moving.
You
Still
do.
confront her.
No question about that. Okay?
While remaining empathetic and understanding, the detective still needs to keep Jennifer's confidence low. He watches for denials and stops them immediately. Letting a suspect deny her guilt will only increase confidence and morale. This
No
needs to be
morale.
stripped away as much as possible, as early as possible.
There's no question about it. Okay?
The focus is kept from the magnitude of the crime and concentrated on the justifications of why someone would commit it.
Yes, their intentions might have been good, but they're not realistic. They're not, Dan, were they? Jen? Their expectations weren't realistic, were they?
Someone
You
there?
couldn't live up to them, could you?
Oh my god, he's doing it.
Tried to,
He's doing it.
right? Am I right?
Oh my god. Oh shit!
And finally you had to bite back, right?
I can take it.
You had no other choice. You felt like you had no other option. You thought of everything else, including killing yourself. This is Canada.
This is Canada.
You cannot take everything out of a person. You can have expectations for your kids, but you can't expect them to do everything that you want. It doesn't feel good to have
See her
secrets,
crack.
does it? You have to let me know what happened here. Okay? Okay. But you were involved. Right? That's the part we need. Okay? We need to hear that from you because we know you were.
The detective appears to be getting nowhere, so he now lowers the gauge of admission. A confession to a lesser offense is far easier to attain, but once it is attained, can be used to build on the more damnatory elements of the case. You'll also notice that he uses broad terms that infer guilt, yet don't directly accuse Jennifer of murder.
Before that night that I'm gonna make that easier. That's a true statement, right?
Watch it there, sister.
You knew before that night that they were coming. Right?
Oh, she's tired.
Yeah. It's not worth it anymore.
3 hours in there.
It's hurting you.
She seems to be on the cusp of giving some form of admission, yet wants reassurance as to what it means for her own sake. She asks this question 9 times throughout this interrogation. It's one of the few things investigators can't actually lie about, as it's been used countless times in the past to get a case thrown out in this direction. They can avoid the question, yet they can't afford any false promises with respect to sentencing.
I need to know the details. I can't even say it.
Just a crumb. A crumb.
I can tell you one thing is that we already know, so you can't change it. Yeah, you did. But it got too far ahead of you, right? You didn't think this far ahead, did you?
No response.
But once they started, once they came in, you couldn't stop it, could you?
Oh,
Could you?
shit.
Jen? Hmm? I know. Why didn't they stop for you?
Oh my.
Hmm?
Wait. She and. I don't know. Oh.
But you were part of the planning, right? You have to tell me that part, and then we're going to work through it together. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want this, you wanted to stop it. You have to prove that to me now. Because at the end of the day, we have to stop this from happening to someone else. Right? Again, we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you.
Her stress is on a whole nother level. A crumb.
And then you and I are going to work through this together. Because the most important part of this whole thing is that we do the right thing for your mom. Right? I am her voice right now. I'm working for your mom. That's my job.
Aww.
And I have to get to the bottom of this for your mom.
Appealing to compassion isn't necessarily uncommon when the crime is first-degree murder, yet it can send a mixed message when a justification for the
stressing me
crime
out.
is a focus point early on. The detective takes his chance with it, which at first appears to work. Jennifer initially responds in a poignant manner, but you'll soon come to notice that her empathy, alongside her concern, is solely focused on herself.
So we gotta start.
True. She only cares about herself.
I don't know at this point.
Selfish.
Okay, because I don't know what you're gonna tell me other than that you were involved, but I need to hear it. What this all was a last-ditch effort to live your own life, to be your own person, to make your own decisions. Look at all your friends. Look at all the people around you. Does anyone else have a curfew for 9 o'clock at 24 years of age? You had no choice here.
3 hours.
And anybody else in your situation would have done the exact same thing. The only thing different is I would say that they'd have done it a lot, or they would have looked for a way out. When did this first start planning? When was the final straw? What was the final straw? So that's what this is all about.
The ultimatum.
You want to be a good person here?
Jennifer knows exactly what questions to answer and what ones to ignore.
Yeah, she's
Anytime
hanging
a
on.
question is non-incriminating, she gives a response.
Mhm.
Yet when they are incriminating, she remains silent. She is no doubt feeling the pressure, but still very aware of the situation and potential ramifications of her words.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you know when a
she's
good
hanging in
person
there.
makes a mistake, they have to face that mistake, right? Right?
That's all you've got?
What do you think she is? I don't know. You're gonna prove to people that you know what the right thing to do is. That's what is gonna happen. That's what your mom wants right now. She's watching us here. She's wondering, is Jen gonna make the right decision here? Is Jen, after all of this,
Wait,
gonna
she
come out on
doesn't care
top
about what her
doing
mom
it?
thinks.
Looks like someone's been
I'm here
digging
for you,
here,
Jen.
and recently.
I'm here for your mom.
Tread lightly.
Oh. Oh, God. What happens to her?
But you have to tell, it's one of those situations, you know what? We know that what you did, okay?
Careful around the burial
So
stones.
you have to be able to explain to her that.
on my back.
I can't tell you what's exactly going to happen to you. You just have to be brave here. You have to be brave.
3 hours, 20 minutes, and 26 seconds. The exact amount of time it took for Jennifer to display genuine emotion.
What?
The investigator would later testify this was the first
Let me
moment
see.
the suspect was being authentic. He
Let me
allows
see.
her to fixate on whatever thought brought this on, and remain completely silent for just under 2 minutes.
Watch it there, sister.
Fucking teacher.
She said, mm-hmm.
You're supposed to take it.
Oh! Oh my God!
Okay.
Oh, is that enough for a confession?
So you're supposed to take the whole family out? What went wrong?
Wait, oh God.
The detective now has one foot in the door. It's not an outright confession, but Jennifer
The
is
door's
now
open
admitted
now.
to planning the home invasion all along. And although she asserts that she was the
Oh, that's a
intended
confession.
target while her parents were meant to be spared, the information she has now given is enough to place her under arrest. Jennifer is no longer going home after this interview. The detective now presses for more information on the amended storyline. It's essentially step 1 of day 1 all over again, but from a more powerful position. He knows she is still lying, and now locks her into as many lies as possible within the new narrative.
What happened? Why did it change? Okay, what do you know? How come it was supposed to be you?
Because I didn't want to be here anymore.
Why not?
Because I was a disappointment.
Okay, you made some mistakes, but nothing that couldn't be corrected. Why was it supposed to be you?
never going to be free from me.
Why did it happen this way?
I don't know. I'm never going to be free from me. I was disappointed in everything.
Okay, but why did it happen?
So, I just want to be sure. Why is he touching a lot? He's rubbing her back. She's like, he's comforting her to, like, you know, make her feel like he's an ally. So, I think this is a confession because even though she's still lying about, like, what was supposed to happen, like, she's saying that she was supposed to be the one that was killed, it still is a confession that she was involved with them coming to murder, right? So that's a confession, right? I don't know. Oh, my camera. I don't know where a good place to put my camera.
Now look what you got yourself into.
I'm sorry, hold on.
All over again.
Just sit
But from
tight.
a more...
I'll find the release.
Okay, what do you...
What was that?
Okay.
It's time to die.
How come it was supposed to be you?
It initiated her planning. Okay.
Why not?
He wears that
Okay,
armor.
you made mistakes, but nothing that can be corrected. Why was it supposed to be you?
None of you will be alive to tell it.
Never going to be free from me.
Why did it happen this way?
I don't know. I'm never going to be free from me. I was disappointed in everything.
Okay, so why did it have to happen this way?
Because when I tried suicide, I failed.
What did you want done? How?
I hope I didn't scare. It's a blessing given to some of us.
She's still lying, but like...
We should keep moving. Still the drug to worry about.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, and what was it?
I don't memorize it.
She skirts around the questions surrounding her accomplices and gives multiple fake names. She stated that she got the number of the supposed hitman from an acquaintance named Rick, and that she took everything from there over the phone. It becomes apparent she doesn't want to give up, or even mention her boyfriend, so for the time being, the detective allows her to recount her amended narrative in the manner she pleases. She gets to the moment she instructed the hitman over the phone about her planned suicide.
Did she think that was something crazy? Because I don't think many people get that request.
Heck?
Do you?
Dude.
What did you ask him to do then?
Come take me out from the room.
Why did you do it?
I can't. This is like her last ditch effort.
It's yours. I'll show you what I can about protecting yourself.
Okay. So that meeting you had with Rick, you told him what you wanted?
No, I just said that I wanted, if he knew anybody who could take care of something that I needed, just that I wanted to be killed.
And he said what?
Take the number.
Did he have the number with him that day?
What?
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense.
What did he say he would do?
It doesn't make
He
sense.
just like wanted to kill.
And your specific request to him was what?
Yeah, he just did that for free, huh?
So he does come into the house, and you're the obvious only young girl there, right? Okay. When he came to your room, what discussions did you have with the guy that came to your room? The real discussions you had, not what you told us.
What was
Where was the money? And I showed him where the money was.
Okay. But he obviously said, I'm here to do what you asked.
He never said anything.
What did he say?
He's like hands behind your back.
Did he discuss ways with you how he would do it? Did you request any way for him to do it?
He was gonna went out for the rest.
Okay. Why didn't they do it the way you wanted?
I don't know. I asked him to keep me in my mom when they took him away.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
I know, it doesn't make sense to me. Because I was supposed to be.
Will you sit up for a minute, please? Okay, look at me.
The detective wants an outright confession, and a second direct confrontation is about to commence.
Eye contact.
Only this time it will be a lot more aggressive, as he doesn't have to worry as much about the suspect locking up or requesting counsel. She is under arrest and going to jail after this interrogation, no matter what.
Look at me. Okay, what I do believe is that you went to somebody. And I do believe that night you paid them the $2,000. But what's not true is it was never for you. Okay, Jen, no.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
you went to this person
Oh my god.
and you asked them to do a job.
Oh my god.
And the job was for your parents. You asked them to do this job on your parents, Jen. Okay? Let's be truthful. Okay? Nobody's gonna come there and get the wrong people. If you wanted to kill yourself, Jen, you're not gonna pay somebody $2,000 to do it. Okay. But there's other ways. Okay? And if that was gonna happen, they could have taken you outside and done it anyway. It wouldn't matter. But if you really wanted to die, all they would have had to do is pull up beside you in a car. You made a specific request, and the job was for your mom and dad. Okay? Nobody's gonna come in there and do the wrong job. Okay? Nobody's gonna do that. They came, you paid, and they did what they were
4
supposed to do.
hours.
Your plan is for your parents. Jen, you have to realize this is the only thing that can contention. Okay? You made the mistake, okay? Everybody understands. Everybody in this police department feels sorry for you. I can tell you that right now. Okay?
I don't feel
Because
sorry
you know
for
what
her.
you're going through. It's so obvious. Okay? That all this tension you put out, basically it's like a volcano. Alright? And at one point it was just too much and you erupted, okay? And you made a bad decision. Okay? And once you hired this guy, there was no turning back. Now in the original story you said that you hid your cell phone. Okay? If it was for you, you wouldn't have hid your cell phone. That would have never happened.
Oh!
There's no conflict.
Oh shit! True!
But you said on tape that you hid it there and that they didn't know about it. That's your language, not mine.
Oh,
all they wanted was so much success out of you, they were not even looking at you as a person. They were looking for a success story. Instead of just saying,
Is someone there?
whatever Jen wants is what's good for us.
My ears.
Whatever
Wait, am I
she's
loud?
happy with. As long as she's
Am I now?
happy
Am I
with her
better?
life, I'm happy with it. If she wants to work at Eastside Maryland for the rest of her life,
Am I loud?
that's fine. If she wants to be a piano teacher, that's great. If she wants to continue figure skating, that's wonderful. Why would somebody shoot someone they didn't have to shoot?
I don't know. I can't figure that out.
And actually not shoot the person they're supposed to?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Why didn't you tell us this that night?
Yeah. Huh? Why didn't you say that earlier?
Scared of what? Telling the truth?
No. But I wanted to die.
Listen, if you wanted to die, you would tell us everything because it wouldn't matter. Jen, if you really wanted to die, you would tell us everything because it doesn't really matter. Right?
It does matter because the wrong person got hurt. Oh, my dad is suffering.
You don't
I
care, bitch.
appreciate that's what happened in the end, but that's what was supposed to happen. Okay? The good thing about this is your dad did live. And that went against the plan. If you could make this decision over, you would change it. Okay? You would change it. Right?
Of course. Because I knew he was going to get hurt. Of course I would.
Jen, you knew he was going to. That's the whole issue.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's the whole issue.
That's the whole
You made
issue.
one plan for your parents, right? That's all I need to do. Jen, you did.
No, and this is not going to go anywhere because I wanted them to kill me.
Tell me what happened. All of it. All you have to do is tell me right now.
She's tired.
Bill, yes, I made a mistake. This plan was for my parents.
The detective gets no further admission from this point forward, so he leaves Jennifer alone for 3 minutes to play with her hair before he comes back and charges her with first-degree murder.
Okay. I need you to listen close to me, okay, Jen?
Oh my god,
This
here
point
we
in
go.
the investigation, okay? I'm going to be arresting you for murder.
Time to end this.
Okay? Also attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. You understand that? Just have to tell me if you understand those charges. Just say yes or no. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is, do you have your own lawyer? No? Okay. Do you have a lawyer you would like to speak to?
Oh, this is so satisfying.
Okay. Would you like to speak to duty counsel?
Somebody who can help me understand.
Okay, so who would that be?
I don't know.
So do you have a lawyer?
Why? No.
I am on his side. What would you like to do?
Get fucked.
You want me to call duty counsel for you?
He's so good.
Okay. Or is there any other lawyer that you would like? So at this point, you wish to speak to duty counsel then?
What is a duty counsel?
Okay. What I'm going to have to get you to do is actually empty all your pockets on the table here. We're going to make sure that they're making
Handcuff her!
duty counsel, and we'll line that up, and you can speak to the duty counsel himself. Okay?
Your kind has no place here.
Idiot.
We made a call to duty counsel, we're just waiting for them to call back. Okay? You need a drink of water, are you?
No water.
Okay. I do have to go into I'll come back. Okay? Well, we gotta take care of these lawyers.
Oh
okay?
my god.
That's the priority here. Okay?
He did such a good job making her feel like he was an ally that
The
she
next
still
time
wanted
Jennifer
him to
would see
stay.
this detective would be when he testified at her trial. It began on the 14th of March, 2014, and Jennifer pled not guilty to all charges. Her interrogation tape was one of the more damning pieces of evidence put forward by the prosecution. Yet the most damning were the 116 text messages between her and her boyfriend in the 6 hours leading up to the murder. They thought using burner phones to communicate would cover their tracks, yet forensics were able to uncover the entire discussion just 1 month after the incident. They spoke in detail about how the crime would be carried out, and it was enough to convict them both, as well as each of the intruders who were linked to the crime via DNA evidence and witness testimony. They were all found guilty of first-degree murder and given a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Jennifer Pan is now 34 years of age. She is currently serving her sentence at the Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener, Ontario. She will be first eligible for parole in November of 2035.
Is that right?
They really added that in there, huh? I am shocked. Oh my god. I can't believe they used burner phones and they found the burner phones a month later. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow, I am just... Dude, okay. These people think they're so smart. They think they're getting away with stuff. But I feel like forensics people, the FBI, detectives, interrogators, all of that, they've seen all of this so many times. They're actually professionals. It's so cool! Wow. Idiots.
I don't think this one is very dark. It's dark, but it's not, I don't think it's the worst. I don't think I need to give you that too big of a heads up. Isn't it? I think this is the one, about the crazy girl who tried to set up a hit and she I don't know. I don't think it's 2S though. It's not dark though. I mean, they're always pretty dark, but that's not dark. We've seen pieces of this before, but we haven't seen the whole thing. Okay, so don't say, "I want to watch this." We watched pieces of this a long time ago, separately on multiple channels.
Decided it would be a good idea to hire an escort for the night. Just 35 minutes after calling to service, 26-year-old Thalia Mohammed showed up at his front door. Just 2 weeks after their first acquaintance, Michael filed for divorce from his wife of 7 years and proposed to Thalia with a $20,000 engagement. She said yes. It appeared as though the concept of love at first sight.
Guys, I don't have any prejudice because it's Florida and Miami, but this honestly sounds like the most Florida and Miami thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
It wasn't exclusive to fairy tales, and Michael finally met his princess. So he thought.
No? Six months later.
Oh, for real, because the thing is, I talked to you today, his phone garbage. You won't be able to get a hold of us. I just want to make sure that, just what you want. Sure you want to kill this.
Jesus.
All right.
It's just, I'd rather be as less, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
This would be the first of a total 15 times that Dahlia would look directly into the hidden camera. With the naked eye, she would only see a small hole in the corner of the back seat. Not overly suspect, but certainly unusual, and the fact that she continuously glanced at it throughout this setup proved that she harbored suspicion. But although she had doubts, she appeared to have no hesitation in accepting the risk for the potential reward, which in this case would have been the brutal murder of her newlywed husband.
Wait a minute.
In order to recite the entire sequence of events that led up to this moment, including each of the highly calculated and equally corrupt decisions that Dahlia made, this would need to be a 3-part series. So for the purpose—
Wait, this means that she could use that in her defense like crazy though, I feel like. If she did that though, then she had this really good defense case.
Of time management. Here's a quick rundown of the most notable moments. On February 2nd, 2009.
Why? Okay, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, I don't want to spoil it. I'll tell you guys why I said that from hindsight. Because I want to spoil the video for you guys, okay? You guys will understand what I mean later. Okay? Because but basically, I feel like the way she could use it in her defense is that she could say, look, I looked into the camera because I definitely knew there was a camera. I knew for a fact, and I was playing it out for content or whatever. And she only carried it out like this because she knew she was getting filmed, and it was that's.
And Dahlia made it official.
I know it's weird.
Married. According to reports,
You'll see
Dahlia appeared to be a very loving wife, always embracing her husband with public displays of affection and telling him how much she adored him, even to the point where people around them started to get on.
It's not a bad take, guys. We've seen small bits of this. I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't want to seem like I was saying some really weird shit to chat. Okay, I'm sorry. Just watch and you'll see.
Comfortable. Just over a month into their marriage, in the early morning hours of March 12th, Michael's probation officer knocked at the door, with 2 deputies standing beside him. Michael had been convicted in 2001 for a fraud operation. He served 7 months in prison and was rendered 28 years of probation. This was the first time his PO had showed up unannounced, and Michael was informed that multiple calls had come in from an anonymous source, stating that he was selling steroids and ecstasy from the house. They presented him with a warrant and began to search the premises. If the allegation were proven to be true, Michael could have been sent back to prison for over 10 years. Luckily for him, no illegal substances were found. The next weekend, Dahlia suggested a spur-of-the-moment romantic getaway in Palm Beach, and the couple stayed at a luxury hotel that Saturday night. But on the Sunday morning, police were waiting for them in the parking lot, stating they received an anonymous call that he was dealing drugs out of his car. They searched the vehicle, but once again found nothing. 2 weeks later, they went out to dinner, and on their way back to the car, police were waiting for them once more in the parking lot. Only this time they found a small bag of cocaine stashed inside a cigarette pack. Michael immediately broke down in tears, claiming that he had been set up and knew nothing about the drugs. Incredibly, the police believed him and decided not to make an arrest. They later testified that the first reason was due to the conspicuous and unusual hiding place for the cocaine. The second reason was their suspicions of his wife Dahlia, who appeared emotionless as her husband was having a nervous breakdown. On the ride home, as Dahlia was driving, Michael realized that she was the only one who knew.
I'm actually surprised though that she believed in that. That's pretty crazy.
Where they were going for dinner, and was the only person who had access to the car. So he asked her point blank if she had anything to do with it, and the accusation wasn't taken well. She put the pedal to the floor and got up to 190 on the freeway, all the while
she must have acted so poorly that this actually went through, because I don't know.
Screaming at the top of her lungs, claiming to be astonished that he could even accuse her of such a thing. Out of fear of his life, Michael apologized and said that he didn't mean it. The next morning, Dahlia was aware that Michael's suspicions had arisen and knew she had to divert his attention somehow. So just after making him breakfast, she gave him the incredibly exciting yet completely fictitious news that she was pregnant. Michael was ecstatic. They went out and bought baby books, and the dubious circumstances that occurred the night before appeared to have been forgotten. That very same day, Dahlia contacted her ex-lover, Mike Stanley, a guy she had already used for money and dumped on 3 separate occasions beforehand, yet managed to reel him back in with a single text. After reuniting, Dahlia hatched an extravagant plan. Mike would pose as a lawyer, contact Michael over the phone, and give him the misleading legal advice that in order for him to get off probation, he would need to move his house solely into his wife's name. Astonishingly enough, without doing his own research, Michael decided to take the advice from the mysterious caller at face value, and he and his supposedly pregnant wife then drove to the title company to transfer ownership. Mike Stanley was then cut off without any explanation or even a farewell, and Dahlia then turned to another ex-lover, Mohammed Shihadeh, who she must have thought was a more appropriate option for her next scheme. To cut a long story short, she asked Mohammed to hire a hitman to kill her husband. He neither accepted nor rejected the proposal, but instead of driving to work after their meeting, he drove to the Boynton Police Department to inform them of Dahlia's intentions. The police then inserted a hidden camera into the backseat of Mohammed's vehicle and had him arrange a second rendezvous with Dahlia to get definitive proof of her intentions. They got it. She was recorded on film handing over a photo of Michael, a photo of the house, and a $3,000 down payment for the assassination. The authorities had more than enough evidence to arrest Dahlia immediately, but to further capture her intent and to really make the charges stick, they set up a second meeting with the supposed hitman, who is actually an undercover narcotics officer. And that brings us back to the very first moment Dahlia looked directly into the hidden camera.
I know I got a picture of the house or whatever.
That's good. You got everything else.
Well, it's up to you.
I mean, it's not like just to, but like my understanding of everything was that, like, you know, I was gonna give you what I gave you, and then that was everything. Until after the fact, and then after the fact, I guess you were gonna come and like find me or whatever. I mean, I'm good for it. Like, it's not like I don't have it.
No,
or anything. I mean, I know not to fuck around with you. You know certain things, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you obviously know where I'm at.
The thing about self-destruction is that it happens all the time, and it's most often a very difficult thing to witness, as it can be the casual sequence of uncontrollable circumstances, such as adversity, tragedy, or misfortune. Yet when a person's self-destruction occurs solely due to their own greed and corruption, it becomes far less difficult and a lot more fascinating to behold.
I can get it up on Wednesday, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta do my homework, you know? I gotta, know exactly where the place is, how to get out of there, how to get in and out, you understand what
There's no CC for this.
I gotta call the cops, report a shooting to see how fast they get to that location. There's a lot of stuff.
Caught on a fucking potato, are you kidding me?
A lot of money.
This is filming a fucking Texas Instrument calculator, dude.
I bring him to the house, and then Nicholas gonna be home because everybody works for daytime. You know, if he's at work, when he's not at work, then he gets 2 minutes. That's it. I took a couple things with me, break a couple windows, make sure about the robbery that went bad. So all over, I'm gone out of there. We're just gonna be asking him questions, although they know it's gonna be obvious what it is, and they already know. But they're gonna ask questions, and that's how they got to do it. But I don't know how well we handle it. I don't know, because I don't want.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm a lot tougher than what I look. I know you're like, oh, what a cute little girl, whatever. But I'm not.
That
I'm not.
you are. You're
No.
beautiful.
Thank you, but I'm not.
This guy.
Make sure everything's gonna be done.
Between now and when it's done, not to have an option to change your mind, even if you change your mind. I'm talking to him.
There's no changing. No, there's no determined already. I'm
do
positive, 5,000% sure,
Okay.
around 6:30.
Jesus, man.
He always walks the dog in the morning.
Okay.
He walks the dog across, over where the lake is, and our door is always unlocked.
I'll be in the house by 6:30 Monday morning. 6 o'clock.
That's a lot of percentages.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, and I guess
You'll hear from me.
I'll hear from you.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye.
Dahlia got out of the car and drove away, believing her husband would be murdered just 2 days later. She followed orders and went to the gym at 5:43 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Police then knocked on the door and gave Michael the unfortunate news of his wife's intentions before driving him to the police station. Dahlia was called back to the house by a sergeant 1 hour later. Everything about the crime scene was fake, except for the news camera which captured the entire incident.
I'm Sergeant Ramsey. I'm the one that called you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, ma'am. Listen. Try to
This
calm down.
guy, dude.
Listen, right now we need to get you. Hey, we need to get you to a police station. We can't let you in, man. We have to do our job. You want us to find this killer, okay? We need you to calm down. I'm gonna need you to go with these detectives, okay?
Jesus.
Is there anyone that would want to hurt him? Okay, who would want to hurt him? Witnesses said they saw a black male running from you. I can't let you see him, ma'am.
From
Ma'am,
hindsight,
cannot
it's so
do this
painful.
Right now. Ma'am, I can't do it. Detective Gilpin, I need you to take her to the station. I can't. Ma'am, go with these detectives. If you want to help your husband, okay? If you want to help your husband, you need to go to the station with these gentlemen and tell us everything you know about who he knows, who he's connected to. Don't worry, we've already taken care of your dogs with animal control for right now. Everything's under control. And we'll take care of everything else, okay? Thank you, guys.
Protocol that we have to do is that you're right. We got to advise you the rights, so you know. Okay? If you don't understand any of them, you just tell me, and I'll stop and repeat. First of all, let me just tell you, I'm sorry for your loss.
Damn.
All right.
They're really trying to soften the blow here, right? So she gets she does agree to her rights without making it sound like there's any problem with it, right? They're downplaying the fuck out of it.
You don't want to say no. You don't. Could you listen, please? This is something, because we're going to videotape, that I need you to sign also. It gives us the right to videotape it. You want to read that?
I don't want to be videotaped.
Well, you're being videotaped. That's all part of it.
Why would you not? What?
Whose number is that?
That's your home number.
Oh.
Okay. Listen, is there anybody that you know that you think would want to kill your husband?
My husband's on probation.
For what?
Dahlia recounts Michael's
For
entire
what?
criminal history in vivid detail, gives multiple reasons as to why someone would want him dead, and even names a potential suspect, who in reality had nothing to do with the situation, and was only a former business associate.
People weren't happy that he was getting off probation because it's a lot of money he's got to pay back.
Well, when you say people, who are you talking about? People that were involved with him before, or?
A little bit of everything. This was supposed to be something, when he got off probation, it was supposed to be between us. And he went and he told, friends of his, he told, certain people, and everyone kind of talks, and he's constantly running into a lot of the guys that he was on probation with. Like, a couple days ago, we ran into someone, and that was a target. I mean, and the guy confessed to us, and he's like with organized crime. It seems like a lot of the guys from Boca are starting to move up here, and we're constantly running into, a lot of the guys that he knows and things like that. So it was a lot of money. It was $191,000 that he had to pay back. So
No
I
subtitles
know
this time.
certain names,
None.
you know what I mean? And I know certain families, they were on the news, like the guys that all just went away.
What nationality are you? Spanish?
My mom's from Peru and my dad's from Egypt.
Wow.
I want to tell you everything, the whole story.
Please
You guys
do.
kind of know
Yeah,
what's going on.
I do. I want to know.
Yeah, please
so
do it.
that's what happened with that. So he didn't know how to tell everybody what was going on with everything.
Mhm. I don't know if you know, he was shot. He was shot twice. And I want you to know all this.
Do you know this?
Did they tell you out there?
Not exactly. I mean, they told me he was shot. When I was at the gym, I got a phone call. I didn't hear my phone ring, and I called back, and they told me to please come.
Oh no.
Yeah. He would, evidently, your husband answered the door. And they took him back upstairs. And in your
We have
bedroom.
cameras, though. Why would he answer the door?
I don't
Because he
know.
doesn't answer for anybody he doesn't know.
I have
And
no-
I mean, the only person, like his probation officer, is like the only, you know what
I
I mean?
have no idea.
He would not answer the door. We have cameras, like at our house.
Maybe he knows this person. I didn't know you
We
had
have-
cameras,
we have-
because when we got there, some of your neighbors heard the commotion.
We have cameras. The front door has cameras.
Oh, that's
The back
great.
door has cameras.
Then-
But they don't record.
And they don't record.
Nobody knows that they don't. We told everybody they record, but they don't record.
Oh, God.
Because he didn't want them to make a hole in the garage.
Right now, I'm gonna go out and get in touch with the officers at the scene. I wanna see if the house was burglarized. All right, just hang on for a second.
Thank you.
The lead investigator
And
returns
the-
16 minutes later.
Now, you know that I advised you of your rights, right? Okay, the game's over with. Okay, there's no more games with you and I. Now we're gonna get down to serious business.
Oh,
I wanna know
Jesus.
if you know this guy. Come here, bring this guy in here.
Oh my God. No
over here.
shot. They have to.
Get over here.
They bring in the undercover cop who remains in character, acting like he's been caught, but refuses to allege Dahlia's involvement. She happily plays along.
You know who this guy is? You've never seen him before.
This guy did.
Do you know her?
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up. What were you doing coming out of her house? Get him out of here.
Dahlia was able to use her looks to get what she wanted out of life, which of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. People do what they can to get by, which sometimes means relying on physical appearance, and in some cases they have no other option. Yet the majority of those who navigate life in this manner do so without intentionally hurting anyone. Dahlia went out of her way to not only hurt, but to literally slaughter the person whom she had tricked into falling in love with her, and for no other reason than monetary gain. She hadn't come from a broken home, nor was she a battered wife. There were no mitigating circumstances whatsoever, only the cold-blooded pursuit to get what she wanted, how she wanted, impartial to the suffering she would cause as a result.
She even